One word to define the future of GCCs in India.
Exciting.
A leadership mantra you live by.
Humility.
Innovation, process or mindset?
Mindset.
One global tech trend that excites you the most right now.
It's AI at this point in time, agentic AI to be precise.
One piece of advice for future GCC leaders watching this.
Never underestimate the tech talent in India, because I think if there is a difficult problem to solve, these are the guys to solve that.
Welcome to CRISE, the GCC Edition, a transformative video series where we spotlight leaders powering global innovation from the heart of India. In today's episode, we are honored to be joined by someone whose journey is as pioneering as it is powerful. From missile systems to cutting-edge cloud patents to leading Lloyd's Tech Center. Welcome to CRISE, Sirisha.
Hi, wonderful to be with you guys.
Give us your perspective on India's growing strategic importance in the GCC ecosystem. And, more importantly, what unique value do you believe Indian GCCs offer to global enterprises today that they didn't a decade ago?
We started as a low cost, it was all wage arbitrage. We were a low cost center. People were coming in to use, the tech talent that we have, but everything was getting driven from the parent organization. That's changed substantially over time, right? Because of the sort of talent that we have. And if I look at the sector to which I belong, banking, we've actually transformed many banks, so far. If I look at what we built out, maybe the core banking systems, we've actually helped with data transformations across banks, actually done everything that a bank requires to modernize itself in this country. There's just a lot for us to give, in terms of technology to the rest of the world. So I think Indian GCCs have been through a huge journey. And if anybody is joining the GCCs today, it's probably the right time. The best is happening today in terms of how we're driving technology.
Now, at Lloyd's Technology Center, what are some most exciting ways in which your teams in India are sort of driving innovation and creating impact globally?
We are always trying to ensure that we're being innovative as an organization. We're trying to see, can we have these new solutions built? And we have in our office like a no meeting Friday morning, for instance, where we give that 3 hours to people to say, do what you want to. If you want to upskill yourself, do that. If you want to build something new, go do that, and so on, right? And we have created these environments or labs which are outside our firewall where you can actually build. We work quite extensively with some of the fintechs where we ask them to come and jointly build some of those solutions for us. So there's just a lot that's happening around innovation. And I think it's a constantly, moving vector, because if you don't move and if you don't keep innovating, you don't exist in the market. So I worked for the government for the longest time. And in those days, I think what it has taught me is to sit with a problem for a while and let it pickle as you solve it, right? So I think that's the genre from which, probably generation from which I have started in terms of my work. And has that changed? I still have a passion for solving engineering problems because, as I said, it's all about, constantly learning through your journey.
Right. Now, as GCC sort of take on end-to-end ownership of global products, how do you think leadership styles need to evolve, especially in nurturing intrapreneurship?
We do a lot of this, ideathons, for instance, or hackathons, where we say, can we solve for a newer problem that the bank has not looked at? In one of my previous jobs, we had something called an intrapreneurship, where we were saying, if you had like a great idea, and I believe that could be the next path-breaking thing for us, we'd probably like to pull you out of your day job, sponsor that idea, get you to, bring a couple of colleagues or like-minded people that you want to bring in to build out the solution. At one point in time, GCCs were losing a lot of our workforce to the fintechs, right? And to the startup ecosystem that we have in the country, because people at the end of the day want to solve for an interesting problem, right? And so if we can do that within the organization, I think that will be great. Can you own an entire product out of India? And can you actually drive and deliver more products from this part of the world?
So you've shattered many glass ceilings, and how can sort of India's GCC ecosystem become more inclusive? Because right now, we are building cultures. There's a new workforce that we are building, training to become future ready. And why do you think that is critical for innovation?
Well, I've always believed organizations which are diverse are, a lot better and empathetic to work on. If you look at revenue streams, they're probably doing a lot better, where you have a diverse workforce, right? So it's really important to keep that going for organizations. But like in many parts of the world, even in India, we do have a lot of mid-career dropout for women, right? For instance, between the 5 and 10 to 12 years, you see a lot of girls dropping off the workforce. So one of the things many companies, and we also are doing, what's called a returnship for these girls. And we'd like to bring them back into the workforce. So, if you have the aptitude for problem solving, we'd actually train you on some of the, latest and greatest technologies and then test you for those skills and put you on the workforce. And I've realized that when people come in through this particular channel, their loyalty to the firm is extremely high. And we've seen them actually doing very, very good work. That's really important. A lot of girls don't raise their hands unless you feel you're 99% ready for a job. We run a lot of these, women in tech and a lot of additional networking interventions that we bring in, as well as, how do you tell your stories better? And we have these storytelling sessions that we run for girls. If people are not in the non-engineering domains and want to come into engineering domains, we have training courses that we run for them. So to really encourage a lot of diversity that's coming into the workforce, because we truly, truly believe that's required. And especially in the payments world or in many of the other allied segments, you see that most of the payments decisions are either influenced by women or taken by women. If you exclude them from solutions that you're building, you're actually doing injustice to those solutions that you're building and to the market that you're addressing.
What are some frontier technologies that you think will sort of define the next phase of growth for GCCs in India?
It's all about AI, I think. I mean, everybody today, there's just this whole buzz around AI and, questions around, are we ready for AI? Do we have a skilled workforce that's ready enough to use AI and to actually solve problems using AI and so on? So that to me is, of course, the biggest, but that's going to impact, I think, every domain that we have. One of them being data, which I think is the biggest. So it's really about, are we able to solve for things like data? Are we able to use data to solve for cybersecurity and so on and so forth? So I think AI can just help us in multiple of these domains. Of course, there's a lot that needs to be done around governance and ethical AI and all of that, and because, there's a lot of brand risk that we run if it goes rogue, right? We actually look at reducing, say, credit risk. That could be a problem. How are we going to bring in things like, self-healing into our systems? How can we manage, again, as I said, our data? How are you going to use AI for cross-border payments? There's just so many use cases that we have. But before it gets bigger and broader, I think there are two things that we have to look at. One, do we have the right governance, around AI? And so before you take some of those really rash decisions on what you want to do with AI, I think it's really good for you to see if you have the right governance mechanisms in place, both for, outside the organization, and how you're going to deal with that.
Thank you so much for, being on CRISE and sharing your incredible insights, impactful innovation and transformation at scale. This was CRISE, the GCC Edition, where we decode the future one leader at a time. Stay tuned for more conversations with trailblazers shaping enterprise innovation from India to the world.